Throughout history, there has existed a hidden art, a secret knowledge reserved for a few initiates. A mystery wrapped in symbols, metaphors, and cryptic formulas that have bewildered entire generations. It is alchemy, but not that which seeks to transform lead into gold. Rather, something much deeper and more powerful. Spiritual alchemy. What would happen if I told you that within you exists a latent force, capable of transmuting your essence, of transforming your shadows into light, your fears into wisdom, your suffering into evolution? Spiritual alchemy is the lost key to understanding the true purpose of existence, the process through which the soul purifies itself and reaches its most elevated state. From the ancient Egyptian alchemists to the Hermeticists of the Renaissance, this teaching has been transmitted in coded texts, in secret manuscripts, and in enigmatic symbols, waiting for someone with sufficient vision to decipher them. But today, here, we will reveal what has remained hidden for centuries. This is not merely historical knowledge or abstract philosophy. This is a practical science of transformation, applicable to your life right now. In this video, we will explore the origin and essence of spiritual alchemy, how its principles have been preserved throughout time, and most importantly, how you can apply this knowledge in your life to achieve true inner awakening. We will decode the symbols that have mystified scholars and reveal the practical pathways to genuine transformation. Prepare yourself for a journey toward the unknown, where transformation is not an abstract concept, but a reality within reach of those daring enough to look beyond the obvious. You will discover that every ancient symbol carries a profound message about your own evolution. Every alchemical stage is a mirror reflecting your potential and your path. The alchemists were not merely experimenters in their laboratories. They were mystics, philosophers, and visionaries who understood that the true great work was not found in the external world, but within the being itself. Their formulas were not recipes for metal transformation, but encoded instructions for soul evolution. And now, these instructions are being decoded for you. This knowledge has the power to fundamentally reshape how you understand yourself, your challenges, and your purpose. The transformation is not something that happens to you. It is something you actively create through understanding and practice. Alchemy has been, since time immemorial, an occult science and sacred practice transmitted through generations of sages, philosophers, and mystics. Its origins are lost in the mist of antiquity, but the first evidence leads us to the shores of the Nile, where Egyptian priests considered it a divine art linked to Thoth, the god of knowledge and wisdom. It was here alchemy began, associating with the transformation of the human spirit. Later, the Greeks gathered this knowledge, integrating it into their philosophical vision of the world. Plato spoke of reality as a shadow of a higher truth, while the Stoics believed in internal transmutation as a path toward illumination. But it was in the Hellenistic era where alchemy took on a new dimension, fusing with the teachings of Hermeticism, a set of doctrines attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, who taught, as above, so below, as within, so without. During the Middle Ages, alchemy was guarded by the Arabs, who refined and expanded its knowledge throughout Europe. In this period, alchemy took two paths: the material, seeking transmutation of metals, and the spiritual, focusing on soul transformation. Figures like Paracelsus and the Rosicrucians emerged, seeing in alchemy a tool to achieve human perfection and divine connection. The alchemists were not mere experimenters in laboratories. They were mystics, philosophers, and visionaries who understood that the true great work was not found externally, but within the being itself. In their symbolism, dragons purifying fire, mercury, sulfur, each element hides a message about spirit evolution and human transformation. Throughout centuries, alchemy has been veiled by mystery and metaphor. This secrecy protected knowledge from misuse. Only when the student was ready would doors of understanding open. The symbols served as keys, obvious to those with eyes to see, hidden to those without. Alchemists understood that knowledge itself is neutral. Power lies not in information, but in consciousness. An ignorant person with secret formulas gains nothing. But a conscious individual with right principles can transform worlds, beginning with their own. Now, as we stand at a time of great spiritual awakening, these teachings are being unveiled once more. The world is ready. The question is, are you ready to receive this ancient wisdom and apply it to your life? Spiritual alchemy is the art of inner transformation, the transmutation of our deepest essence into something superior. Just as ancient alchemists attempted to convert lead into gold, spiritual alchemy invites us to refine our consciousness, elevating it from a state of ignorance and limitation toward illumination and wisdom. But how is this transformation achieved? The sages of antiquity established that the alchemical process develops in several phases, each representing a state of being that must be transcended to reach perfection. These phases reveal a map of personal and spiritual evolution. The first step is Nigredo, the work in black. It is the moment of decomposition, the symbolic death of the ego and all illusions binding us to limited existence. It is the initial chaos, the confrontation with our shadow, the encounter with our fears and weaknesses. This phase can be experienced as a crisis, a dark night of the soul, where everything we believed secure begins crumbling. But like a seed needing to be buried in darkness before sprouting, the spirit must traverse this decomposition to then be reborn with greater clarity. Once we have crossed Nigredo, we arrive at Albedo, the work in white. It is the purification process, the washing of the spirit from all impurity. Here we learn to cultivate mental clarity, serenity, and detachment from negative emotions. This phase relates to introspection and self-knowledge, the moment when we begin seeing the world with new eyes, without ego distortions. Alchemists represented this stage with the image of the bright moon, reflecting the light of truth. Here, practices like meditation, prayer, fasting, and energy work play a key role. They help purify our thoughts, emotions, and actions, preparing us for the next level of transmutation. Then comes Citrinitas, where the golden light of awakening begins manifesting. It is the state where wisdom starts shining within us. Citrinitas is the union of conscious and unconscious, reason and intuition, spirit and matter. Here we learn that true knowledge is not found in books or external teachings, but in direct experience with the divine. Alchemy tells us that gold is not obtained only with fire, but with patience and understanding of nature's cycles and the soul's cycles. The great spiritual masters have passed through this phase, understanding that illumination is not a permanent state, but a constant process of evolution, a continuous unfolding of consciousness into ever greater dimensions of awareness and light. We have traveled the path from the darkness of Nigredo, passing through the purification of Albedo and the illumination of Citrinitas. Now we arrive at the final phase of the great alchemical work, Rubedo, the work in red. Here occurs the authentic transmutation, the moment when the lead of our lower nature converts into the gold of full consciousness. Rubedo is the culmination of the alchemical process. It is the sacred marriage between soul and spirit, between human and divine. It represents the total awakening of consciousness, when duality dissolves and we understand that we have always been part of the whole. In esoteric tradition, this state is represented by the image of the phoenix, rising from its own ashes, symbolizing the immortality of the spirit. It is also the rebirth of the sun, the arrival of pure light after facing the darkness of ignorance and suffering. Rubedo is the crystallization of our true self. Here we no longer struggle against duality, but integrate it. We no longer seek light outside ourselves, but understand that we are the light. This state has been reached by the great spiritual masters of humanity. Buddha, Jesus, Hermes Trismegistus, Lao Tzu, all traversed this journey of inner transformation. But alchemy teaches us that illumination is not a privilege of the few, but a destiny all can achieve if we follow the path with determination and humility. The message here is profound. Transformation is not exclusive. It is available to anyone willing to do the work. The alchemical journey is not reserved for the specially gifted or the spiritually elite. It is a universal process reflecting the very nature of existence itself. Constant transformation, perpetual evolution, endless becoming. What makes Rubedo distinct from the other phases is that it represents not just personal transformation, but the manifestation of that transformation in the world. The gold produced is not hidden, it radiates. The illuminated being becomes a beacon for others. Their presence itself becomes transformative. They have not withdrawn from the world, but engage with it from a place of wholeness and power. This final stage reminds us that spiritual alchemy is not about escape or transcendence in the traditional sense. It is about full embodiment of our highest potential. It is about living as conscious creators, aware of our connection to the divine, grounded in our humanity, yet expanded in our consciousness. The true alchemist walks in both worlds, the material and the spiritual, bringing them into sacred harmony and creating beauty and healing wherever they go. The hidden message of alchemy is this: it was never about converting metals into gold. That was only a metaphor concealing its real purpose, the transformation of the human being into their highest version. Each of us is an alchemist in potential, with the capacity to change our destiny and elevate our vibration. But to do this, we must commit to the great work, to transmuting ego into consciousness, fear into love, shadow into light. However, knowing this is not sufficient. Alchemy is an art that must be practiced. It is a living practice capable of transforming your life if you apply its principles with discipline and consciousness. The first phase invites us to confront our own darkness. How can we apply this in daily life? Practice self-observation by keeping a journal of thinking patterns, recurring emotions, and automatic reactions. What limiting beliefs prevent your advancement? Engage in shadow work. Integrate repressed aspects of your psyche. Perform purification rituals. Burn negative thoughts written on paper. These symbolic acts represent dissolving the old and create space for transformation. After symbolic death in Nigredo, we enter Albedo, where light begins filtering into our consciousness. Practice meditation and mindfulness to quiet your mind and observe emotions without attachment. Cultivate gratitude and compassion. These elevated emotions dissolve negativity and open the heart to higher vibration. Connect with nature. Walking barefoot on earth, immersing in water, or breathing fresh air helps cleanse your energetic field. In Citrinitas, the light of knowledge illuminates our existence. Study sacred texts and esoteric philosophy, exploring wisdom from ancient traditions. Apply knowledge to daily life. Spirituality must be lived, not merely read. Use creative visualization and affirmations, reprogramming your mind for alignment with your highest version. The final phase, Rubedo, crystallizes the entire process. Serve others. True alchemists seek transformation not only for themselves, but to share their light. Create consciously. Everything you do becomes an expression of your new consciousness. Integrate internal balance, accepting both light and shadow, without judgment, recognizing all is part of evolution. This is when the transformed being becomes a beacon, radiating their inner gold to illuminate the world. Throughout this journey, we have explored the mysteries of spiritual alchemy, unraveling its symbols and applying them to our inner transformation. From the dissolution of ego in Nigredo, through the purification of Albedo, the illumination of Citrinitas, to the manifestation of the authentic self in Rubedo, each stage has revealed a profound path of self-knowledge and transcendence. But here lies the great secret. Spiritual alchemy is not a destination, but a continuous process. It is not about reaching a final state of illumination, but about converting each experience, each challenge, and each victory into a stepping stone toward greater consciousness expansion. The alchemical gold is not a metal. It is your own evolution. The great alchemists of history understood that the true power does not lie in transforming physical lead into gold, but in converting ignorance into wisdom, fear into love, and separation into unity. This transformation is not reserved for the spiritually elite or those born with special gifts. Every human being carries within them the potential for this great work. Every person, regardless of their current circumstances or past, possesses the capacity to become an alchemist of their own reality. The only requirement is willingness, the decision to begin. The beauty of spiritual alchemy is that it does not require you to abandon your humanity or withdraw from the world. Rather, it invites you to engage with life more fully, more consciously, more authentically. It asks you to transform your suffering into wisdom, your pain into compassion, your struggles into strength. It teaches that enlightenment is not escape, but the fullest possible engagement with existence. As you move forward, remember that you are not alone in this journey. Countless beings throughout history have walked this path before you, leaving footprints in the sand, markers in ancient texts, and wisdom encoded in symbols. Their experience is your inheritance. Their victory is your promise. Now the question becomes, will you answer the call? Will you begin your great work? The choice is yours alone. No one can transform you but yourself. No one can do the work but you. But know this, the moment you decide, the entire universe conspires to support your evolution. The moment you commit to your transformation, synchronicities begin appearing, teachers emerge, and doors open that you did not know existed. The alchemical gold awaits. It has always been within you. It is time to claim it.